Tamara Carroll, and I'm the host of tonight's show, Life with Lipedema, Loved, Valued, and Treasured. And so before I start, I always like to share a inspiration, as you know, and I always like to see the positive in things and just see things through like the eyes of God. Okay, so this is a an inspiration that my friend Julie Stewart shared, and she is in our tribe as well, and she shares things on our website frequently, just as a uplifting type of poem or something. And so today, as I was thinking about what I would share, I found this one. It says, maybe this is for you. Maybe it's for a friend. Maybe you just need a friend. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you feel alone. Maybe you need encouragement. So let me tell you this: your voice, your heart, your giving, your loving, your showing up, your effort, your ingenuity, your caring, your you. It matters. This world can wear us down. It can scream that we aren't enough or we need to do more. But at this moment, this is your reminder of your deep importance. Friend, you are priceless. Your impact on this world is unique. Your giving is valued. Your trying is wonderful. Thank you. I see you, my friend. Today is one of those days for me that I kind of needed to hear that. I had gone to my manual lymphatic drainage on Monday, and I hadn't been in a month. So you can imagine how I felt afterwards. And then yesterday, I had physical therapy for another type of thing for my body. Back to back isn't a good idea for me. So I've been a little sore today. And I just needed to slow down. I like to go, 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 but I just had to slow down. And I was sharing with a friend, it only hurts when I breathe. Like, that's okay, right? So, and then the other thing was, as I was getting ready for the show today, I realized that I had another bobble in my arm, another little curve. And, it would be really easy to focus on that and focus in and, be like, oh, this is horrible. But I said, oh, there you are, another bobble to add to my bumps and my curves. So we just try to push through and celebrate where we are and rest when we need to, right? My guest tonight, I'm super excited for her to join us. Her name is Susan O'Hara, and she's had over 25 years of experience in strategic leadership, project management, coupled with deep passion for advancing lipedema awareness, education, and patient empowerment. She is the founder of American Lipedema Association, and she's held a senior management role at the Federal Aviation Administration. Wow, that must have been pretty exciting. And then as a speaker and a researcher and an advocate, Susan actively contributes to the global lipedema community. So welcome. I'm so happy that you're joining us today.
Thank you, Tamara, for having me. I'm happy to be here.
And you were just sharing as we were visiting too, that you had just had some journalists in, you had won an award, and you were sharing about lipedema, and we'll get into that in just a few minutes, but congratulations on that. That's super fun and
Thank you.
quite, an achievement thing. It's a wonderful thing. Susan, can you I always ask my guests to take about 5 minutes and just share a little bit about your personal history with lipedema, how you came to find out you had it, and just anything that you'd like to share on a personal level, please.
Sure. Yeah. So I am 51 years old. Let me start with that. And I have always been a big girl. When I graduated from high school, I weighed 267 pounds. I'm almost 6 feet tall. So, just a big presence and always a very confident presence, though, too. So I have polycystic ovary syndrome and had difficulty getting pregnant with my kids and did fertility shots with both of my kids. And so when I went into the hospital, I, was just typical 9 months pregnant, swollen and puffy and all that stuff like you get at the end. Had a really difficult pregnancy, not delivery, sorry, difficult delivery.
Uh-huh.
And when I came out of the hospital, I had full blown stage 3 lipedema and didn't realize it at the time because a lot of times, they pump you so full of fluids and stuff,
Mhm.
you're extra puffy, and also you're completely out of it for the first several months after you've had a baby because of just the lack of sleep and the
Mhm.
changes to your body and everything. So I went for a long time without realizing that there was something wrong with my legs. And about 8 years into having kids, I lost a lot of weight through lap band surgery.
Mm.
And my legs continued to be about the same size as they were before I had lost well over 100 pounds. And then you could really see the outline of lumps and bumps and strange shapes that didn't appear to be normal. Again, though, I just didn't think there was anything you could do about it. I go to regular doctor's appointments, have regular checkups and that kind of thing. No medical professional had ever mentioned anything about it to me. And what ended up happening was I was taking my Girl Scout troop to New York City for a weekend, and I knew that we were going to be walking several miles a day, just about 5 or 6 years ago now. And I was having some really serious foot problems. So I went to a podiatrist, and the podiatrist was like, "You're going to need to get a foot brace, and it's probably going to need to be custom made because of the size of your legs."
Mm.
So I go to a foot brace specialist. We're just sitting there having a regular conversation because I will talk anybody's leg off
Mhm.
pretty much. And she just says casually, "Who's treating your lymphedema?" And I said, "My what?"
Wow.
Never had heard the word and never had anybody, like I said, bring it up before, right?
Mhm.
And so that sent me home to the internet, to the races, right? And so I took some pictures of my legs. I went on some lymphedema groups and posted the pictures of my legs. And somebody came back with a picture of her legs and she said, "I think you have lipedema." Is
Mm.
what's happening. And the minute that I heard that word for the first time, it was all just like a light went off. You know how
Mm.
you do, you
Mhm.
research and you dig and you find it. Well, even 5 or 6 years ago, there wasn't nearly as much information out there as there is today. Not as many influencers, just not as much
Right.
anything. So I was fortunate in being a government employee that I could switch my insurance policy to find a policy that would cover surgery. And within just a matter of months, I was on the table to have my first lipedema surgery. And I had three over the course of a couple of years. And then I decided to pause for a while. One, because even though my insurance covered it, the travel and all of the pre and post-op care and everything that comes with it becomes very expensive and time
Mhm.
consuming too.
Mhm.
Plus, I was starting to enter perimenopause and my body was changing, and it was almost like changing faster than the surgery could undo the
Right.
damage, right?
Right.
So I've paused the surgeries, and I may continue after I get through menopause. Dear Lord, please let it be soon. And I may not,
Yeah.
because now that I know what this story is about, it like it totally changed my confidence level to just know that I am like other people, and to have
Yeah.
seen other people's pictures. That really made all the difference in the world. And I'm going to say a word, and I don't know how else to say this, but this was some of the negative self-talk that I had, to know that I'm not a freak. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Right?
Right. Right.
And my mom has it too, and she still has those kinds of talks to herself too. I have, she would say terrible things about herself. Let's just leave it at that,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So
Because that's the world
it
culture,
is. It
right?
is.
You
That's the real
know.
culture. And of course, just to go back for a second, my mom grew up in a time when women wore girdles when they weighed over 100 pounds,
Yeah.
right? And she starved herself to try and get her legs to slim down and would pass out, because of her lack of eating food and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So that culture came with her, and I think that it definitely impacted how I feel about
Sure.
myself too,
Sure.
right?
I agree.
So yeah, I guess the other thing to share with you is that because so many people were willing to help me and show me pictures of their own legs, But I had to dig for a long time before I found what I was looking for. I
Mhm.
decided I'm going to share my story along the way. So I started a YouTube channel back in 2020, whenever I went in for my very first surgery. Like, actually, I'm coming out of surgery and I'm like, hey guys, this is Susan. I'm out of it. And I videoed every single step of the way, every
Wow.
MRT, every doctor's appointment, everything that I had to do before and after the other two surgeries too, right?
Mhm.
And what ended up happening is when I was in the hotel trying to recover, I was starting to get instant messages and phone calls and emails and DMs, and just like it started compounding, and it turned into thousands of people who were looking for
Wow.
help. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I got better, I wrote my first book called Jeans on a Beach Day. And what it
Mhm.
is, it's a story of 7 different women and how we went to get our diagnosis, like what took us to our diagnosis and the
Mhm.
challenges we had because we
Mhm.
had been diagnosed for so long, right? And
Mhm.
then I told about how I got insurance coverage and just some other things, some practical tips for living with lipedema.
Mhm.
Since then, I have written several other books, but the one that's really important to me is Aquatherapy for Lipedema and Lymphedema. And it's not about money because nobody's getting rich off of books except
Mhm.
for John and Stephen King. I say that all the time.
Mhm.
It's about getting the information out there, and also it legitimizes our disease whenever you go to a doctor and you say, I think I have this disease. Here are the symptoms. Here's the paper. We know what we all have the paper,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And the doctor, they go online and they Google it. And if they're not finding anything, they're less likely to believe you than if they go to Amazon and they're like, oh my gosh, there's a whole lot of books
Oh,
about it, or,
that's
you
a
know,
great tip.
right.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the reasons why I continue to write books. And so right now I have 2 books in the works. Like I said, I've written a lot, but I have a book in the works with one of the folks. I don't want to share her name yet because she may not be ready for it yet, but talking about the mental and psychological impacts of having a condition like lipedema. And we're pretty close to being done with it. It's a partnership. And
Mhm.
then I also have another book on all of these GLP-1 drugs, the tirzepatide and semaglutide and stuff like that,
Mhm.
that I'm working on with a doctor right now to get the word out about its impact specifically on lipedema. The other part about that is we're trying to get some of the drug manufacturers to actually do specific testing on the impacts of those drugs on lipedema. And so there's just so much work going on. But
Mhm.
that's my story, and I could talk about it forever, right? But
Mhm.
that's kind of how I got here and how Legs Like Mine started, and
Mhm.
then it just blew up from there.
Mhm. Awesome. So I know your tagline is Legs Like Mine. Is that also on YouTube? Is that where we could find you? Is that
Mhm.
your tag on that?
It is, yeah, youtube.com/C/legs like mine. And then, of course, I'm on Pinterest, Twitter, TikTok. I just now joined Blue Sky. I've got, legslikeMine.com, and then a
Mhm.
huge Facebook presence as well.
Very cool. Well, Keisha, hi, welcome. She has a question. She said, "What good compression garment that you would recommend for the leg area?"
Hmm. I think it depends on the stage that you have. So I will tell you what I personally wear, because I am a little bit more advanced in my staging. And so I don't do custom yet, but I'm probably getting close to that point. But I do wear a flat knit compression that is called Bioflect, and
I've
I
heard
buy
of
them
it.
off of Amazon. And actually, okay, I'm going to stand up and show you just a little bit because I like the way
Thank
that they
you.
fit, and I'm watching myself on the camera to see. So I'm wearing nude ones today. I didn't expect this, by the way. This was a thing. Um,
Doing
but
a
they
thing.
go all the
Yeah.
way up like this, right?
Okay.
And the texture, here's something weird about them is that they have weird seams. You can tell that I've got the warning hole right
Oh,
there. And the warning hole with Bioflex is when you pull them out of the washer and you have the very first hole in any seam, you better replace them because the next time you wash them, you're going
oh,
to have a full-on blowout.
oh my goodness. That's a really good tip.
But they make your
Very good.
legs, they're not as tight as a lot of other compressions, but they have this micro massaging sort of texture inside of them, and so
Yeah.
it's always moving your lymphatics on the
Okay.
top, and so they're not painful. They just feel comfortable. And
Yeah.
actually, this is how it should sound when you put your compression on the morning. Oh, thank God.
Oh, see, and I
Not
have not had that experience. I don't wear them because they're so painful, and then
yeah.
they bunch up in my skin, and
hmm
it's not
So
good.
that's the best compression is the compression you'll actually wear. That's a Linda Ann Kahn statement, right? I do wear knee length from time to time though too, because I still like to wear blue jeans, but I am a hot old lady and I do not like 2 layers of clothes.
I know the feeling. I know
Yep.
the feeling.
So flat knit is good for people who are more advanced and who may have areas that when you're wearing like a circular knit, which is smooth like pantyhose and no seams, right?
Mm.
Those kill the back of my knees. They bunch up in the back of my knees and cause me to get like redness and pain and irritation. And I will wear them for special occasions because they do look like pantyhose, but I'm not kidding when I say I was speaking at a Girl Scout event. I'll never forget this. It was like a big dress up occasion, right? And I'm coming home from downtown Oklahoma City. I pulled over at a convenience store, went to the bathroom, pulled them off and threw them away. And then as I'm driving off, I thought, oh my gosh, those were $100. Would it be weird if I went and dug them out of the trash? I was so tired of that cutting in though.
Yeah.
So it really look up the difference between flat and circular knit because
Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
if you're more of if you're a less advanced stage, then circular knit sometimes can do the trick. But flat knit for me, and then if you're really advanced, you need to go to a compression fitter. And there are a lot of different companies that'll do it, and they can work around. Like if you have lobules, or like you were mentioning, you have a new bump in your arm. If you have that in your leg, they can actually sew the seams to work around those things too.
That's what I'm aiming for next. I'd like to get that ordered. And I'm on Medicare now, so I've heard that, they will cover that, and that's a really good thing. And then even when I wasn't on Medicare, my insurance would cover one pair. So, you just never know. We had a couple other questions. Angela says, have either of you ever tried the carnivore for this disease? I did carnivore for a while. However, I developed a kidney problem. And so now I have to have very little protein. So that's my story on that. So I can't really speak to that, but I know that a lot of people, if they eat keto and low carb, especially, to keep the inflammation down. So I know if I start eating too much carbs, then my legs start getting pretty fiery.
Yeah, I definitely have trigger foods. So I haven't done carnivore specifically. I have done keto. I had lap band in 2009, and I went from, at that time, I was 367 pounds, and I went from 367 to 194.
Wow.
That entire year, I was miserable and mean. I didn't eat one bite of bread, rice, pasta, potatoes.
Oh, goodness.
Sweet. Like all the
You were
things.
very disciplined.
Yes. So what happened was my lap band caused my esophagus to rupture because it was building up a lot of pressure in there.
Oh my word.
And so when it was all said and done, they swapped out the lap band, they tried again, and then they said, you know what, it's still not working for your esophagus. So basically you're going to have it open the rest of your life. And basically you can eat anything you want. And when they said that, I went, oh,
yay,
bread basket.
Yeah,
and that 194 went up to 200, back to 300. And now I'm so much happier. I'm not going to lie. I do. And I also did over 3 years as a full-on vegetarian.
Yeah.
And this was right before I had my first surgery. And I learned that it was causing my red blood count to be really, really low. And I got super anemic. And the doctor actually told me, he said, you need to eat meat, girl. So this is what I'm going to say. I agree that low carb is really a good diet. I'm not a super fan of keto because I think life's not worth living if you can't have some cake every now and then.
I agree.
Right. But I would say lower carb. And the very first thing that I tell people when they're like, oh my gosh, I have lipedema, what do I do? And I'm like, cut the sugar from your diet immediately, because that is the one thing for me. Actually, I have two things. Sugar and wine, specifically for my body, cause inflammation like a beast. And so really watch what triggers you. Like if you wake up after you've been out one night, and for me, my sign of inflammation, my first sign of inflammation is I actually have pain right here in my thumbs.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And when there's pain in my thumbs, that means my leg's blown up too. So look and see what foods trigger you, because everybody's got a different trigger.
Right.
And
it's
even,
good to keep a little journal,
yes.
if like I'm going through and I'm having a really bad day, what did I eat? And I do it on an app. I use an app called, I think it's called Love Eat, and it's actually for my kidneys. But Eat Love. I was backwards a little bit, but you can tailor it to, things that you can have and can't have, and recipes come up. And that isn't Lipedema Simplified. That's just me, my sponsorship for that, my shout out for that app. But it's great because you can track, your grams and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
I want to shift a little bit back to talking about your accomplishments. And I'm just super impressed and very inspired that you are an advocate. And that's one of the things when I found out that I had lipedema, I wanted to have, and lymphedema, but I wanted to have a voice in it. And I wanted to be able to help educate doctors as much as I possibly could, at least as a layman, where I could get the information to them that's clinician to clinician, where they could learn about it, and also be an advocate for the community and getting awareness out. So I'm super excited to talk to you about the American Lipedema Association. And you're the founder of that. So how did that come about? And tell me a little bit about that organization.
Yeah. So the American Lipedema Association is designed, it is a nonprofit. It is designed specifically to be a voice for any lipedema patient, caregiver, or medical professional in the United States. And the reason that it came about is because I went to the first Lipedema World Congress in Potsdam, Germany, a couple of years ago. And a lot of countries were there, and they were representing patients. And I know the Lipedema Project was there. I think it was Lisa Dury at the time, and Shaban was there too. And we met there. And Lisa and I took some funny pictures wearing, on stage or whatever, But what I realized was that as a nonprofit, that doesn't, so we charge $15 for members a year, but we also scholarship people, no questions asked. So if people come in and they're like, I want to join, but I just can't afford the $15, we're like, great, we're signing you up right now. So it's not about money. What it's about is unifying our voices as a collective, and then taking the power of saying, hey, we are a registered 501c3 nonprofit. We represent people in every state of the country, which is true now. And we want something done. And so we formed it last June. Patty Cornute of Lipedema Fitness is on the board. And then Dr. Thomas Wright, who is a surgeon based out of St. Louis, is also on the board this first round. And what we're doing is we're doing all kinds of work to reach out to medical schools and require and demand and collaborate with them to train about lipedema and lymphatic diseases and fat disorders in the curriculums of medical schools, all 182 medical schools in the country.
Wow, that's huge. That's huge.
Yep. And we're going to conferences that we're not focused on the conferences that our internal community goes in, although we'll be at the Fat Disorders Resource Society next month. But we're focused on outreach. So we're going to conferences for gynecologists and psychologists and pediatricians and anybody that treats a female from the ages of 10 up until their through menopause, right? The ages where lipedema rears its head.
Right.
And we're trying to make it where doctors who've already been through their original training, who weren't taught to recognize lipedema, can see it, can see pictures of it, and bring that into their practice. And it's not that they're going to treat lipedema, but so they'll be able to say, I see that in you. I believe you. I validate you, right? And also, I see that I can refer you to a certified lymphedema therapist. I can refer you for if you're interested in surgery. Like these are my options to help you get through that journey, right? So the ALA, I would love for anybody to join. And like I said, it's not about the money. We do use the money for going to those conferences and outreach and stuff like that. But it's adding your name to the list. So when there's an advocacy opportunity, you're given that opportunity to participate in whatever way. And we provide information on like how I can advocate if I don't like public speaking. Because believe it or not, there are people who don't like it, and that's okay because they
absolutely.
Yeah, they may be amazing at Excel spreadsheets, right? Believe me when I say the organization needs
Bless
that.
those people.
So we would love for you to join, and just it's raising our voice. And a couple of big things that we're working on that I believe things are happening because we have the power of unified voices and to say that we are a nationally recognized charity. One, I reached out recently to Eli Lilly. They're the manufacturer that makes one of these GLP drugs that everybody's talking about. And under the ALA name, and asked them to start doing studies on lipedema. I educated them about lipedema and the prevalence and the symptoms and that sort of thing. And they came back and said, yes, we will do research. We have set aside funding not only to pay for the drugs for research participants, but to fund researchers to actually do the research. And ALA isn't a research organization, but we partner with the Lipedema Foundation and other nonprofits. And we took that package and handed it to the Lipedema Foundation and said, do you guys have doctors and researchers that are willing to take this on? And they were like, yep. And now they're taking the ball and running with it. So you're going to see in the near future a dedicated study for lipedema on those GLP-1 drugs, because the reason that's important, if they can do the research and approve it for lipedema, then we might be able to afford it after it's approved as an actual condition that the drugs are for, if that's your thing. And a lot of people have reasons that they don't take it, and I totally respect that, but I want the opportunity. Because we're seeing people who are reporting that their inflammation is going down, whether or not they're losing weight, their symptoms are actually changing, and that's super exciting. But I don't think that would have happened if just Susan O'Hara wrote a letter to Eli Lilly. It was the ALA that wrote the letter, and they were like, oh, we better pay attention, you know?
Wow, that's so good. That's so good. So I was wondering if people wanted to join your organization, how could they do that?
Yeah, just go to AmericanLipedemaAssociation.org, and there's a join us link up at the very top, and we will get you signed up straight away. If you need a scholarship membership, email us at AmericanLipedemaAssociation@gmail.com and let us know you're a patient and you want a scholarship. Like I said, there's no form to fill out or anything. We will scholarship you. You know,
that's great. And what a benefit.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Veronica was asking, do you have a list of doctors that are familiar with lipedema?
So that is something I actually have always referred people to two resources. And the first one that I referred them to is Lipedema Simplified. They have a really good database of doctors. And then also the Lipedema Foundation also has a database of doctors that have been cleared as knowing about lipedema. And then, of course, if you're interested, like here in Oklahoma, there are no doctors that treat it, but I do have certified lymphedema therapists and physical therapists that they're more hands-on, and they're the people I see more often. So you can also go to websites for that will give you lists of certified lymphedema therapists, or LANA, and that is the Lymphatic Association of Certified People. LANA is the name of the organization, though. And they also have a list of people that you're probably going to see more frequently. So Lipedema Simplified, Lipedema Foundation, they both have really solid databases.
Right.
And I would send you to one of those.
Yes. I think it may even be in the chat now, but Lipedema Project also has a list of doctors that other patients have gone to see. So that's a wonderful thing. And I'm super excited that, with your organization, that it's going out to the medical students and the medical schools, because that's key right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to shift again into another fun subject. So as I was talking to you about coming and joining on the show tonight, and I saw you on Facebook wearing these adorable adorable red shoes. And because of my situation, I have to wear, my feet hurt all the time. And so I have to wear orthopedic shoes. And oh, they're
Mhm.
so ugly. They're
They
just so
are.
ugly.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, tell me about those red shoes and your fashion line and your shoes, and just what is that looking like for you these days? I
Yeah, I'm
don't
so
know how long
excited
you've
about
had it, but
them.
those red shoes, I got so excited when I saw them.
So, okay, so here's the deal. I wear a size 13 wide shoe, and for years, if they had a 13 in stock at stores, if I would try and get my foot in there, my foot was just too deep, and I couldn't most of the time, I couldn't even get my foot into a shoe at the store, a woman's
Mhm.
shoe, and, if I could, by minutes after I'd put it on, it was cutting me across the top of my foot, or my foot would swell up around, the top line is what it's called.
Mhm.
And I mean, since I was 13 years old, right? And it's only gotten worse as I've gotten older. And I've half joked my whole life and said, one of these days I'm going to start a shoe company. And so what happened was when I started going to my lymphedema therapist, she wanted to do the phase where they wrap you, right, when they're doing
Mhm.
decongestive therapy. And she said to me, I want you to order all these supplies, these hundreds of dollars worth of supplies, and come back. And I also need you to bring an old pair of tennis shoes because I'm going to cut them up so that you will have shoes to wear while you're wrapped.
Oh
And
god.
I was like, I am in upper management and I
Yeah,
have to
I'm a
dress.
professional woman, really?
Right, I know. So you want me to wear my lake shoes with the backs cut out of them for like 3 weeks while I go to work? I ended up taking leave, in fact, because I was just like, I can't do that, you know?
Mhm.
But it got me to thinking, like, how hard can it be to start a footwear company? Like, why can't anybody tackle this? Because now that I know it's 11% of women, and not everybody's feet get this, right? But
Mhm.
there are a lot of us who are walking around wearing either ugly orthopedic shoes or men's black tennis shoes because it's all we can get our feet in. And boy, doesn't that look great at a wedding.
Mhm. I know, it's
You know?
horrible. I could wear
Yeah.
all my cute clothes, and then it's like, "Don't look at my feet."
Right. You
You
just have to
know?
make your dress a little longer so no one could see it, right?
Yeah.
So I joined this shoe consultant company, and she's based out of the UK. But this lady, she has done Doc Martens, she's done big brands of shoes. I mean, she knows what she's doing. She brought me in contact with a footwear designer who was interested in a special project that was going to actually make a difference for people in the world, and also a footwear technician over in the UK. And
Mhm.
we did focus groups, and the Lipedema UK folks really helped out a lot since that's where the most of the team was. We
Mhm.
did focus groups where we got people's measurements and what kind of shoes they're wearing now and what hurts, like what their challenges are and stuff. And we took their foot measurements and took them to what's called a last maker. And a last is the mold that is what they build shoes around, right? And they look totally different than just a standard skinny shoes. And everybody, I'm telling you, everybody wears shoes that are too small in the
Mhm.
United States. So our
Mhm.
lasts are much more roomy. They're much more deep, right?
Mm.
And so we started with a loafer. And as we were doing fit testing on it, we noticed that people were having trouble with the loafer fitting on their foot tight enough. And my goal was to get shoes on the most people's feet as possible, right? So we changed it to a slingback model. And I'm actually going to, no, this is better. We changed it to a slingback model so that you could tighten it down and adjust it and really get your foot to fit in there.
Mm.
But it's super deep, and then it's got this V shape on the top so that it adds for a little bit more room. Here's my
Sassy.
favorite
It's
part,
sassy too. It's cute.
right? It's sassy. I'm gonna grab something from over here.
Okay.
So, and then I'm gonna drop it. What's cool about them, because I know shoes are expensive, and the amount of research that we did on this project cost a lot of money. So the shoes aren't cheap, and we designed them to last for a full year. So
Mm.
what we decided to do is we put little tiny loops on the sides. You can wear them plain, or you can go
Oh.
in and change out adornments. So, like if you're going
Oh.
to a wedding, you could put a pearl or a sparkle. See, that's a sparkle
Yeah.
on top. And I have tons of these different things. You can do just chains or whatever. You can also make your own, like you're crafty, right? you take jewelry findings and you can make your own, but
Wow.
we'll have
Yeah.
different adornments that you can sell. So you
How
can take
cute.
a black shoe
Oh, yeah.
and have 10 different looks with this black shoe based on what you're putting on the adornment on the top, right?
No, I'm hooked. I can't wait to
You know?
stuff.
And so I have invested a lot of my retirement money in getting these done. And my mom wears them every day now too. And she's, like I said, she's in the same boat. She could not get her feet in shoes. And we had even tried for her some brands of shoes that are designed to be orthopedic. Drew Shoes is one of them that you'll see on my like my social media and stuff. I wear these cute Drew shoes all the time. My mom couldn't get her feet in them. I took these over to him and she slid her foot right in, and I swear she got a little teary-eyed. She was like, the other thing that's pretty cool about them is they have double layers of insoles. So if your foot, like my left foot swells more than my right foot, you can pop out an insole and make the shoe deeper so that it'll fit you for it maybe all the time, or if you swell more at the end of the day, you can pop it out and still have a shoe that looks good on top.
That's so great.
So
the ordering for them is through your website there. Are you in any of the stores? Is there a plan to get into any of the shoe, even the specialty shoes?
I mean, my plan really is, instead of going to shoe stores, it's going to be direct to consumer. But then also I'm working with a lot of lymphedema and lipedema therapists now who my hopes are that they will carry these in their store or, in their buildings, and they'll have the business cards with them to show folks how to get
to podiatrists,
Yes, podiatrists. And recently, this isn't like a big announcement, but a major hospital system came to me, and I have an appointment with them next week to sell them shoes, because they said, when we have ladies that come in, we have nothing to give them. And so that's going to be the route. I'm trying to get it where Medicare will pay for them, because you get a couple pairs of shoes a year with Medicare, and then where the VA will provide them as well. But that's the first phase. And the second phase is way more exciting because as we've done this, we've learned that even still, like, we're meeting the needs of a lot of people, but we can meet more needs if we do custom shoes for people. They're called bespoke. And so the design team is working where they have come up with a bunch of different designs, and we take a 3D scan of your foot from your phone. And then they make a shoe based on, you pick the design you want, you pick the color you want, you pick the leather you want, and you pick the sole you want. And magically, 2 weeks later, shoes show up at your front door and they fit.
Wow. I'm so impressed. When is that going to happen?
So the thing that I have been, this is what I really wanted to do this whole time, is a calf boot. And so this is a sample pair that they made to fit on my feet. And for this sample, I put a tennis shoe bottom on the bottom of it. But the other pair I have has a stacked heel. It looks like more like a Western boot, I know, right? And they smell good. When I wear them, they just look like I went to, Macy's and bought a pair of clothes. Even though it's a 26-inch calf, which no one else in the world is making. Bingo, we got it. So this will be all of the new styles, and the design team is adding styles now, just like hotcakes, right? Next week, we'll be putting all of these styles on there, where that process of ordering your own, where they are made to fit your feet perfectly and you're all the way up to your knees perfectly. Those will be available starting next week.
Wow. I'm so excited for you and for us.
This is a big deal to the community. We need this. We deserve it. We've been hiding our legs for so long. Well, now we can have boots. So there you go.
Well, congratulations. That is so exciting. Wow.
Thank you.
Terrific. So many good things. So, the name of my podcast is Life with Lipedema, Loved, Valued, and Treasured. So if you were going to pick one of those words that really resonates with you recently, what word would that be?
It's valued. And I will tell you, Tamara, I went through a lot of struggles when I retired from the government. I'd been there for 28 years. And when I left, it was because of my lipedema. it was because I had asked for a reasonable accommodation to stop traveling so much because my legs were just blowing up from that and from stress. And after working there and being gone from my kids so much and doing so many great things for them, they denied me and told me that I should retire. And it
Wow.
really made me feel not valued after everything I had given to them.
Mhm.
So it's taken me 2 years post-retirement and therapy, I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah, yeah, it's
to
always good.
really find my own value. And what's so weird about this, I feel like the shoe thing fell into my lap. I do, like, and that's whenever it's a sign from the universe that you're probably doing the right thing because everything just seems to be happening on its own, and I'm just sort of, like, there to guide things along the way and pay for it. Um, right? Um, it has given me new value in my life, and I'm gonna say this, which is such a weird thing, way more than I ever got in my whole 28-year government career. Like, I feel like if I can make you a pair of shoes or make you feel like you are a part of the world and shouldn't be hiding
And feel
yourself anymore.
pretty.
Yes, that is, oh, I just got the chills. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna, that's crazy. It's so much more important than pushing paperwork or
Mhm.
signing off on contracts and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's like the human connection
yeah,
part that I needed to fulfill in my life.
yeah. You found your purpose.
I did,
One of
and
them.
yes, yes, and
Yeah.
I, there's so many things that we think, oh, I wish I didn't. I remember as a kid laying in bed at night and praying to wake up skinny. And now I think about, like, what if I didn't have lipedema? I wouldn't have met all of the amazing women in this community.
Mhm.
Catherine, think about all the things Catherine's done in her life.
Right.
There was no guidebook for when Catherine
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
her work. And so many other people like that who we are like, I'm just like, hey, there are no rules. I don't have to get permission from anybody to do what I'm doing. So I'm just going to do it. And that's
Mhm.
how Catherine was too,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But yeah, I have met so many incredible women because of this disease. And now I'm like, if I could go back and not have it, would I?
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah, because we've really found a place to belong,
Yeah.
and people like us, just like your tagline, legs like mine,
Hmm.
and then knowing it's not our fault, and just that support that's out there,
Yeah.
it's huge.
Yeah. It really is. I would love it if we would all heal together.
Mhm.
Like if they came up with a cure, but I guarantee you our community will stay together no matter what happens as far
Yeah,
as a cure
for
is concerned.
sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So using your word valued, can you give a piece of encouragement to the community with the word valued?
And I'm going to use it from a fashion perspective because that's something I've been doing a lot lately. I wrote a book about fashion. I've been doing some webinars and stuff like that with Lipedema Australia about fashion and presenting yourself in a way that you want to be received.
Mhm.
And this is what I'm going to say. The only one who can give you value to start the ball rolling is yourself.
Mhm.
If you don't value yourself, then no one else is going to, right?
Mhm.
And for me, I can change the way people value me based on how I present myself. And it
Mhm.
not only is it the way I dress or whatever,
Right, how we
it's
show up.
how I show up.
Mhm.
If I'm sitting up straight, if I'm engaged, if I'm, being part of the conversation and not telling myself, you don't belong at the table. Girl, you belong at the table.
Right.
And don't
Mhm.
ever take a back seat to somebody. You get up at that table.
Yeah. Yeah.
you
I
know so yes, value yourself. And even on days like Tamara, you've had a rough couple of days, have your body smile and sit up straight and show confidence and stuff, and your brain will begin to believe it,
Yeah, I
just
believe
like
that
what you're
too.
doing right now.
I believe
Yep.
that too. And I always like to say to the community about that whole thought of how you show up. For so long we have been put down,
Hmm.
for our weight or whatever that looks like, for the chronic pain or, whatever that looks like for each
Hmm.
person. But when we can show up with confidence in really understanding where and what we have experienced makes us beautiful
Mm-hmm.
and beautifully curved, and just show up with that, and then the world will start to respect us in a different way, even if it's one person that we can change
Mm-hmm.
their thoughts towards it, or maybe it's advocating.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the pool and somebody gives you the side eye. I have lipedema, and you say it without any shame,
Mm-hmm.
and then go on to tell them a little bit about lipedema.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that they have a sister or a cousin or somebody, and they just need to have an understanding, and then the compassion can grow.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, how we show up, and how we value ourselves and our experiences, it just makes a difference. It makes a difference to one or two people, but it can make a difference to you,
Right.
your
Right.
own spirit,
It absolutely
value
does.
yourselves. So.
Speaking of the pool, I have to tell you, I love to swim. I love to swim. I bought myself a bathing suit that goes down to my knees. And if I go on cruises or if I'm wherever, Mexico or whatever, I walk around in that bathing suit. I don't worry about it anymore because when you
Mhm.
look around, there are a lot more people like us.
Mhm.
And,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
saw this happen one day. I was in Hawaii and I was swimming and snorkeling and having a ball and acting a fool like I do in the water. And I saw this lady who was built a lot like me and she was walking around in a cover up. I saw her looking at me.
Mhm.
And before the day was over, I saw her take that cover up off and get in
Oh,
the
thank
water.
goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, it changes. It changes people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It really does.
Yeah. That's so good. Thank you. I just want to thank you. We're coming up on our 45-minute time. Boy, that went really fast.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions for Susan, pop them into the chat and we can follow back with her and make sure that she has that information. We have a webinar coming up, Lipedema 101, on March 8th, and the registration link is in the chat. There's always goodness coming out of Lipedema Simplified.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I can just see more conversation with you. This was really a joy having you, and I'd love to have you back. And we can go a little deeper, and then we can celebrate your new shoe experience and all that goodness. Before we go, I want to let you know that my next podcast will be on March 12th. So I have switched now to the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month at 6 p.m. EST. And my guest on March 12th is going to be a lovely woman. Her name is Kathleen Wooten, and she's from England. And she had this really wonderful experience. She swam the ocean for a year. And she's going to be sharing her story about that. And there was a short film that was made about her. And she also has lipedema. And so just her story of courage and fortitude and persistence and just showing up, just showing up
Mm-hmm.
and doing her thing and that personal challenge that she had for herself. So I hope you'll join us on Wednesday, March 12th at 6 p.m. on all of the different platforms. We have Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And to my community, I wanted to let you know that you are loved, valued, and treasured. And Susan, it was my great pleasure to know you and get to know you a little bit more. And you are truly loved and valued and treasured.
Oh, thank you. What a great podcast. Thank you,
You're
everybody, for being here and for
welcome.
the questions. Anytime, anytime.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
You are hurt.
Oh.